You're listening to KCRW. I'm Matt Guilhem. If you've been searching for a home to call your own or are just a fan of scrolling through Zillow, you're well aware that California's real estate market is hotter than the sun. Yes, our weather is great, and you're only an hour from the beach, the mountains, or the desert in SoCal, but more than location is pumping up home prices. Some say short-term investors, think house flippers, play an outsized role in keeping the market sizzling. A member of the state assembly is hoping to help cool things off and give buyers a better chance at getting a home by adding a tax to quick-turn house flipping. That lawmaker, Chris Ward of San Diego, joins us now to talk about his proposal. Welcome to the program.
Great. Thank you, Matt.
So California's housing crisis has lots of moving parts, but you say short-term investors are a big cog in that machine. Just how much of a role do you think they play in the crisis?
A significant role, and it's difficult to pinpoint a specific number. Many industry reports are inferring that this role is growing over time. It's always been present, but particularly in a super hot market. The government doesn't track the nature of who's buying houses. We don't know a corporation versus an investor versus a traditional homeowner. So we use industry and market data and inferred analysis there to try to understand maybe what the profile of our home purchasers look like. And so from that information, we've seen some reports that say as little as 5 or 10%, and recent reports that say as much as 33% of recent sales are attributed to short-term investors.
Oh, wow. Well, you said industry and market data, but I'm curious, what are you hearing from your constituents in other Californians about their personal experiences buying a home?
I've heard so many stories of, and they're increasingly on the rise, of people trying to get into their first home only to be beat out by all cash offers. I have one that came to a press conference where I introduced this bill. She had 33 offers on homes and got beat out every single time. And she was going for the asking bids or even above that eventually to be able to secure her condo. So we've got some challenges out there with housing pricing. The influence of investor buyers is absolutely influencing and inflating an already hot market.
Okay, so let's talk logistics. How does your bill work and what's the ultimate goal here?
So what the bill would do is it would have a 25% surtax on the property gain, not the equity, not some modest growth, but on the major income gain on that property if there was a subsequent transaction with just 3 years' time. That 25% rate would then reduce down to 0 by year 7. And when we know that the average length of home ownership in California ranges between 10 and 16 years, depending on the region of the state that you're in, we know that most people will fall well outside the effect of the window of this bill.
Well, I mean, just how do you make sure that average homeowners are not going to get caught in this? Because I think, you don't want to stymie people from taking opportunities that come along, but say somebody makes a move for a job that goes bust or circumstances like an ailing family member pop up and prompt a move before the tax depreciates. I mean, how do you factor in for issues like that?
That's right. So we've been initiating this bill to be able to solicit exactly that kind of feedback. At its outset, we recognize that we have military service members who are ordered to move every few years. They shouldn't be penalized. We know often that people sometimes get a condo or a starter home to be able to have home ownership, but then their family grows or something. They want to be able to move into a different home. All these seem just very natural and very appropriate uses of transactions in a property. We took an amendment to actually exclude all primary residential owners. So if you've live in that house, if you're owner occupied, you would be exempt from this bill as well. We're further training the effect of the bill toward speculators and corporations that are taking up major numbers of our residential properties. We have a limited supply. We need to do more on supply. And I've been supportive of that too. But while we are working on those medium and long range solutions, we can't ignore this elephant in the room, and that is the influence of speculators beating out working Californians from achieving their homes.
Have your colleagues in the assembly said anything about the bill? You got any pushback on it?
They want to hear more. They want to study more. It is a new concept for an American state to be able to use a tax policy to affect behavior in this way. But it's not unprecedented. Germany has a law in effect, New Zealand, China, a few provinces in Canada. Just last week, the United Kingdom Parliament is looking at this. So the pressures are actually worldwide.
Well, we will be keeping an eye on how this plays out. Chris Ward is a member of the State Assembly representing the San Diego area. Thanks so much for telling us about the bill.
Thank you, Matt.